Hey guys, how are we all doing? My name's Sean and welcome back to Dafty in the Garden. Now today we are going to be looking at building a greenhouse out of plastic bottles. But first I'd just like to say welcome to the channel and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Before we get into the actual building of the greenhouse, a lot of you might be thinking out there, why on earth would you be building a greenhouse out of plastic bottles? Go out and actually buy one, you dafty. Well, I am a dafty, and to be honest, it's actually something I've always wanted to do, is just build a greenhouse out of plastic bottles. I know, it's weird, but I actually like the idea. Now, this project of mine started a year ago, and it failed dramatically. But I'll get into that a little bit more later on in the video. Now, one of the things, the reason why I actually wanted to build a greenhouse is, as I says, I always wanted to. But I never had the confidence to actually go out and build one. But recently, or in the last few years, I've went, do you know what? I don't care. If it fails, it fails. At least I can say I've done it. Now there's a second thing that actually made me actually do the greenhouse, which kind of backfired on me quite a lot. That was, my wife was going through a lot of plastic bottles and I wanted to show her how many plastic bottles she was actually going through in at least a week. As I say, it backfired on me dramatically because I only got so far. I went, yeah, that's not a lot. And now I'm in a place where I've actually had to go out and ask my neighbours, my friends and my family to actually give me plastic bottles that they are about to fling in the recycler or fling away in the actual general waste. And I'd rather use them myself and actually get them and try and build this thing. I became a little bit ambitious when I actually started building this. Most people build a little tiny box greenhouse out of bottles because they've got time. No, I want to go big or go home. So I wanted to get a full-size greenhouse. Now, I'm not a builder. I don't pretend to kind of be one. I've got a little bit of building trade background because of my family and things like that, but apart from that, yeah. Now, my greenhouse is quite bigger than probably most people's out there. So at the moment I'm actually using 2-litre plastic bottles. Now, there's no sponsorship or anything on this, so I'm going to tell you now, the bottles I mainly use for this is bars. That's quite a well-known company in Scotland, because when you actually are building these things, for somehow these shaped bottles just slide together, and I don't know if you can see, but there's little grooves every couple of sections on this, where if you're actually putting the bottles on top of each other after you've cut them, they actually slot in here and it gets a little bit harder to pull apart. And as I said before, the first time I did this, I failed. And the reason I failed was I was trying to do a very large structure of bottles all in the one, because that's what I've seen before on YouTube. Now, as I said, I'm cheap. And the thing that I kind of missed out on when I was watching these videos and I wasn't doing myself was putting bamboo in the middle of it to basically secure it a little bit more to the actual structure. I don't like to spend money in the garden too much, and bamboo was a little bit more expensive than I actually wanted to spend. So all I wanted to do was have the bottles and have a couple of screws that I had from old project that I've taken out of things, and just things like that. Now, my greenhouse is quite a far bit away from actually being complete, and I would like to do a future video of it being completed and how it's actually performing. Now, the next part of this video is I'm going to take you outside. Now, today's weather isn't that great. It's actually been raining for the last 2 days, and it might actually rain again at one point. But what I'll do is I'll take you outside to the area that I normally build these sections, and I'll show you how I actually put it on the greenhouse, and we can go from there. Hi again. So this is me in the area with my bottle greenhouse. Now, as you can see behind me here, this is the section of the greenhouse I would say is the most completed. Now, I have basically in this section here, I have 8 bottles connected to each other plus 1 at the base, which is 9 in total in each column. Now, once upon a time, I tried to go from the top here all the way to the bottom, which was roughly about 16 bottles in total. Now, when you put that many bottles together, and this is why it failed the very first time round, is when you put the 16 all together during the winter and things like that, because it wasn't completed, when I put them together, when it got a bit windier, the middle got really weak, and it kind of pushed and it forced the bottles all apart, and it just collapsed. And that's where the bamboo came in handy. If I had the bamboo in there, made it secure with that, it wouldn't have actually came apart. But as I says, I'm quite cheap. I don't like to spend money on things that if I don't think I need to. Now, if I had the bamboo, it would have worked. But again, with these, all I've did was put a piece of scrap wood along the base there to split the 2 sections up, and that made 1 there and 1 at the bottom, and I've done that all the way around, including the roof. One of the things I'm going to do right now is to show you what I actually do when making the greenhouse. So if you actually want to go out there and actually copy what I've done, you can. But as I say, it's nowhere near completed, and this is going to be a further future video to show you the actual thing completed. Now, I don't know if you can hear in the background, there's some banging going on, and I apologise if the volume on this isn't great. All I can say is, if you let me know in the comments, okay, what sections was maybe quieter than others, and I'll try my best to try and speak up, or have something else as a mic to actually speak into. Now, as I say, I'm going to start, and these are some of the bottles I've already laid out I've got from people and my wife. Now, the first section I'll show you is basically washing, cleaning, cutting, and then assembling. First off, you need to take the lid off. Now, that's an important part, because obviously you don't want air stuck in there. That's the main thing. Okay, and it's easier when there's no vacuum there, it's easier to slide into place and actually fit together. Now, if you're out there and you don't want colours or anything on your bottles, take this bit of plastic off as well, but I'm not really that bothered about it. I think the colour actually makes it a little bit better for me, because I think the mixture of colours actually go quite well. And the second part you need to do is to cut off the labels. Now, if there's kids watching this, do not do this yourself, get a responsible adult to do it. And here I have Stanley. Stanley does quite a lot of my jobs for me when I'm doing things in the garden. I think he's actually quite a useful tool for me. Now, all you do with Stanley is there's a piece of sticky parts over this side of the bottle. Okay, that's where the glues and things like that are. So I always find it easier to cut from the total opposite end of there, and I just cut up the top ends like this. This is a little bit harder to do when you're actually trying to film it. So all you're doing is filming up on the top and cutting that off like that. Take it round like that, and it's just a smooth action because you've got more material to hold on to. You might have a bit of residue on there, and you can leave that on if you want, because it's not that much. It probably will come off over time, or again you could just take Stanley and just scrape off the remaining pieces of plastic. That's not the main pieces of plastic, remaining material there that you don't want, and just put this in the bin, and then you're left with a non-cleaned clear bottle. Now, with me being in the garden, I basically use my trusty watering can. All I do is fill the water in the top, nice and simple. Take it like that, enough like that at the top, give it a shake. Now, if it gets dirty like this, you can either put it back in the watering can to recycle, if you want to do that. You could put it in your compost bin, which is here, which is mine's, or you could just pour it out into your garden, whatever you think's useful. Now, there is sugars and things like that in there. I'm a bit of a Dafty, so I don't mind where this goes, but there is people out there who would probably say probably best not to. So I'll just empty this back into the garden where it goes, or where I think it goes at the moment, because it has been raining quite a lot. Now that it's actually an empty bottle like this, the next step is cutting. Now, if this was one of my bases that I was going to use, I would cut along the top, along here, and then screw at the bottom, put a hole at the bottom, and then attach it to the base as so, and it would be ready to slot in. And I will show you that later on in this video. But what I'm going to do now is I've already got sections of the greenhouse already built, and I'll show you how I'm going to be finishing that off at the moment. The full time here, keeping my hands away from the blade area and just keeping it out of reach. And it's not much you take off the bottom, just enough so that there's a gap here at the bottom here. Now, one of the things I have recently started doing is putting these in here as an extra support to keep it still actually intact, so there's not too much wobble here, and that actually helps create a little air gap between here and the other bottle on top, as I'll show you here. That'll create a little gap here. Water will go down, funnel through if it goes in the top, and I'll do the same one with here as well. Okay, now that's the section. You just build them up and up and up as they go, and I'll show you the next step as we go here as well. Now, on this section, as you can see, this is already kind of attached to the greenhouse here. There is a bottle right beside, fully attached. Now, all I'm doing here at the moment is I'm just going to put this in at the bottom and just slide it in as it goes, giving it a bit of force so that it just moves down and actually kind of becomes part of the column itself. Now, there's not much left at the top, here to go. Now you can either do this halfway or you can do this further up towards the top. It's up to yourself. Now I normally like to do it halfway in between, but because this is an example video, I'll show you a little bit closer to the top what I actually mean, what I'm going to do next. Now for this section, all I'm doing is cutting some holes in the bottom so that if there's water ever gets into the pop bottles as they're attached to the greenhouse, it'll just funnel through and go out the bottom eventually. Okay, and that's all I'm doing, just cutting that, and I'm ready just to put this section next on. So this is what I'm actually going to be doing. I'm going to take that full bottle and all I'm going to do is work it into the top of the bottles we've already attached to the greenhouse. Now all I'm doing here is just taking the base and putting it inside the bottles that's already been made, making sure all bits of plastic are put inside the pre-cut bottle, working it down so that it's a tight bit of brute strength here is needed sometimes. Okay, and until that forms a solid piece of plastic here, and if I rotate this round you'll be able to see what I'm talking about now. Now that gives me the bottle lid section at the top, so that means that when I am ready to put on the next sections of the greenhouse, such as this section here, I'm just ready just to work it on, working around all the plastic again. And then just sitting that on like so. Okay, so all I would need now is one more bottle and that would sit on at the top. So let's get one more bottle. Here's one I had earlier. Okay, and all I'm doing here is, again, just working it on a bit of brute strength and making sure that it's on the right side of the greenhouse I want it on. And as you can see at the top, that's all the way up to the top now, and it's ready to actually be fixed to the wooden framework. Now you don't need to do this next step, I just like to do it because it makes it a little bit easier for me to fix the bottles to the greenhouse, is to put a little pilot hole in that bottom, so when I'm actually putting the screw in, it actually sits there a little bit easier when I'm actually screwing it in. So now that the pilot hole's been done, all we need to do is screw the bottle to the framework. So all I'm going to do, take a screw, put it through the pilot hole. It should be as simple as 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And that's that in place, ready to put the next section on. So what I'm going to do now is, now that we've done the middle section and the top, which I would say is the most majority of the actual structure, is we're going to go on to the base. And that brings us on to the base. Now the base is nice and simple. All we're doing is to make sure we've got an opening at the top. We're cutting off top sections, which will give you a little funnel. Let's put that to the side. And basically all we're doing here is we need to make a hole for a screw to go through. I'm just going to get my screwdriver and I'm just going to drill a hole at the bottom. Okay, and just for extra measure, just drill a couple of holes. So if any water goes in there, when it's on the panelling, it'll just flow right out. Now, with that, all I would do is I would get a screw and I'd just put it at the bottom and screw it into place. How we do the bases. Now all we've got is the pre-cut area that we've got from earlier. We've got the hole that we had from earlier as well, the pilot hole. We take the screw and all we're doing is putting the screw and the pilot hole to set it in place for the moment. Then all we do is we take the bottle, take it to the nearest section of the post and just set it in place. From there you can either screw it in two ways, using a screwdriver and just screwing it, because the wood is quite soft, and just take it in as it goes. Or you can do it the way I'm going to do it, is with an actual drill with a bit. Now as you can see, that's solid base. Step one, and then we're just ready to stack it up as we go. We showed you already how we stack it from there. Just an example, so that I can show you from the base that we've just put on. This here, we're just putting it on top, and we're just sliding it in like so. Nice and straightforward, and it's ready to be put on place and built up all the way to the top. So that is how I've built the greenhouse so far, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe. If you have any tips, or even if you would like to ask me any questions further on how I failed and what I've learned, things like that, please comment and I'll try and get back to you. So that's me, Sean, the Dafty in the garden, signing off for now. We'll see you in the next video.